I have recently done some live astrology shows, which is kind of cool to have an audience. And yeah, it's a lot more fun to work with people with this art than to do it alone. But if I don't keep the art up, because I don't like always have the opportunity to do a star story, you know? But that's what it is. I look to the heavens to tell a story. I hope it inspires you. If not, don't watch. But I attempt to use astrology in a sort of earnest way, even though I understand that I don't know what's going to happen. I still look to the stars and try and predict with the information that I do have. So, this is a full moon in Libra. It's also an eclipse. Eclipses happen a couple times a year. Essentially, it just means that the light is being obstructed in some way, either by the moon or the sun. So this is a lunar eclipse, which means that there is the sun shining, and then the earth moves in such a way that the moon is eclipsed. So what we attempt to do with storytelling is try and create a situation where the players on the stage, which is the heavens, give to us a story. So because the sun is in Aries, I should put on my glasses. Oh well. Because the sun is in Aries, the condition of the sun is in good shape, which is helpful. So if you're having an eclipse, it's nice to know that the sun is in good shape. So the light that it wants to send is all about, right now, transformative power. So it's exuding, let's make spring happen. Let's bring about the new cycle. Let's start the victory over the days, right? So Aries wants to bring us more light. It wants to bring us more heat. But it's still, we've gone through the cold, wintry, wet period, depending on where you're located. I understand this is just a story, but so metaphorically, it's like rise again, begin again. This is associated with the equinox, Easter, that kind of a situation. We're commencing now. This sun is, because of the fact that it's an eclipse, it means that the moon and the sun, the inclination which puts them in the same plane from our POV, right, is in active territory. So basically, whenever it's close enough to that point, because, okay, so here's the Earth, the moon is doing this number around it, right? And then we're going around the sun. But sometimes the moon and the sun and the Earth get into a line. And whenever that happens, the light is obstructed. So it is, in some ways, it's a very, like when you think about the fact that the sun powers life on our planet, and there's the fact that something could block it, it's kind of a powerful thing, but it doesn't last long. We know now that we can even predict them coming. And I also sort of feel like we can also predict the doom of our species a lot of times now with technology. So it kind of makes sense that we've got the doom, like the impending doom figured out, but we need to incorporate that impending doom into this story to a degree. Now, the North Node is near the sun, and the South Node is near the moon. So because the moon is what's being eclipsed, then this is a sort of South Node kind of an eclipse. So the tail of the dragon, if you will, is what's being visually sent to us. Of course, the North Node is near the sun, but it's not the things being eclipsed. The moon is being eclipsed. So the way that I start to think about it is we are getting in the way of something. There's something blocking. There's something covering up. And since it's the moon in Libra that's being eclipsed, there's something about fairness. There's something about partnership. There's something about visual beauty and balance that's that's being obstructed, taken out of commission, stopped, and halted. The ruler of the sun, to begin, is Aries, right? Because, excuse me, the sun is in Aries. The ruler over it is Mars. Mars and Aries sometimes get mixed up, sorry. But since Mars, the planet of war and aggression, has just moved into Pisces, even though the sun is doing good things, the ruler of the sun, this Mars transit in Pisces, is a bit slippery. So it's not that it's bad inherently, because I don't think it is bad. Mars rules Scorpio, so it makes a trine to Pisces, so there's a lot of martial energy that can find its way through the waters. Chani is an astrologer, has a good app. She talks about like waiting for the wave, and I think that's like a very nice metaphor. But that trining energy, that Mars in Pisces, which is in a little bit more of a neutral state, it can't make an easy combination with Aries. Even though they're nearby, sometimes people are so similar in their kind of nature that they actually sort of miss each other. So if you take the fish and the ram, like, the ram doesn't eat fish. That's not what it's gonna do. And the fish doesn't go for the ram. Like, there's just not an interaction really too much between them. So as you understand that there's this powerful impulse available, there's this powerful sun energy that has a little bit of dragon going for it. There's a kind of like power and strength here. It's not exactly sure where to put it, maybe. It's not exactly sure where to put it. So the sun in Aries, ruled over by Mars in Pisces, which is ruled over by Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter is right in the middle of Taurus. It is in the very heart of spring. So this teacher wants flowers. It wants tasty food. It wants a healthy body. It wants rituals that are beautiful every single day. It wants you to value those. It means singing, dancing, stretching, eating healthy. Like, it's very oriented towards the physical body, the senses, the material. It is very, 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 very much wanting that to be an incredibly well-informed, delicious enterprise. This Jupiter transit in Taurus, I think, is nice. I think it is nice. Because it wants to be nice. Is it as nice as Jupiter in Cancer or Jupiter in Pisces or Sag? Probably not, but it is still nice. It's not. It's making a nice sextile to the exalted place in Cancer, which is good. It's making another sextile to the Pisces. So it has access to two of Jupiter's like excellent spaces. So I'm happy with this. I'm happy with this good placement. That Jupiter's being sort of zapped a little bit by Uranus. It's like just a sudden bit of whatever, but because of Jupiter's co-presence there, it's sort of like, it's like getting the right news. So I'm gonna just start blasting off. Really clean water, saving that water, being precious with that water. Really clean food, really nutrient-dense food, really healthy soil. Don't put a bunch of crazy chemicals in your body. Give your body a chance to just sort of take in what it needs, what nourishes. Really listen. Really listen. So that's definitely going on with that Jupiter story. Now, it's ruled over by Venus, which is in the heart of Pisces. And it's pretty near Saturn, so it's tough love. It's really powerful. Like, the Venus in Pisces is lovely. It's a very strong signature. It's like literally loving every single thing. And Saturn is like, here is the thing, and there's no budging. So it's like loving what is, loving the limits, accepting it. It's very, very much a practice. So someone's yelling at you, I love them. Someone is fighting you, I love them, so I'm going to try to disarm them. You know, it's a tough love. It's a tough love kind of a situation. I'm not condoning spanking. I don't think if you're trying to make your child feel safe that you should beat them, but I do think that you should try to make sure that they're safe. And if they're doing something destructive, you do need to punish them, if you will. You do need to punish that behavior. But I don't think physically harming people is the answer. I want us to evolve past that. There are plenty of young people who have not been spanked, who have still learned consequences, you know. So I don't think that that violence is the answer. I understand that it's tricky and humans are flawed, but we really gotta evolve past that, in my opinion, because safe nonviolent tactics needs to be what is in our subconscious, not I'm gonna hit you and I'm 4, 5, 6 times your size. Like it just like I'm done with it. So I also am not reproducing, but if you're gonna have to hit something that's a baby or a child in order to control it, then you don't have any business being a kid. You don't have enough support. There needs to be more people involved in the process. Yeah, if a bunch of humans end up not reproducing because I'm scaring them, good. There's a lot of humans. I don't care. I know that the Bible says to go and populate, be as numerous as the star. That's what I feel about that. That's what I feel about that. And I haven't been struck down. In fact, I'm being supported. And maybe it'll all get taken away. But I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to say that there's a lot of people and we seem to be destroying the environment. So maybe we've done that task. Okay, enough of that. So Venus is in Pisces. Oh, and to top it off, this Jupiter-Venus mutual reception is nice. It could look different in everybody's chart. So for me, it's the house of my like commitments and my partnerships meets the house of God, foreign travel, and an expedition. So for me, it's like there's a sense of like bringing an adventure and foreign ideas and God and divinity into my everyday partnerships. So it's like trying to bring like the wisdom and the higher learnings that we pick up through whatever traditions into our partnerships. Like that's how it's manifesting in my chart. For you, it might be a little different. But that's okay. You can look to the chart yourself. You can look at apps. You can consult with people. I offer free and paid readings. I am available to you if you want the story that's more specifically aligned to your birth chart. But really what that means is, like, do you want someone to take the time to play this self-inquiry game with you and see how it goes? And yeah. So yeah, that Venus is there with Saturn. We've talked about that. We've got mutual reception, which means the energy for the sun is going uncomfortable connection to the Mars. And then it's making an easier connection to Jupiter. And then another, honestly, like really easy connection to Venus, like almost like it's such a great connection. Venus is exalted in Pisces, so Venus is happy. Jupiter's comfortable in Taurus, and they're right a sextile. Like it's just a really good exchange time. So that makes me happy. So the condition of the sun, though, there is that little maybe not knowing exactly where to put the energy. There is that really nice, there's a lot of potentials and there's a lot of support that's available. You have to work within the framework of reality. Saturn is the force that's like you have to do what you've got to do. So for instance, if you have a sprained ankle, that's a limitation, but that doesn't mean you can't paint. And also, how much pain can you stand? How much pain take the least amount that you can, try to move with it. You know what I'm saying? Like work with the constraint, whatever it is manifesting in you. So not that it's fun. I'm not saying that there's not going to be emotion and pain. Like Saturn is harsh. Mars is harsh. Anyways. The sun is moving away from Neptune, which is nice. So lay off the escapism. If you need a little escapism, okay, cool. But like lay off of it a little bit. I'm not saying don't do it. Like watch a great film. Like enjoy that. If that's what's bringing you light, you know, in LA, cannabis is legal. Taking a hit, making some art, rambling into my characters. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. Okay, so one other thing about this North Node dragon before we move on to the moon, the head of the dragon, it has Chiron there. So the dragon is wounded. The head of the dragon is wounded. There's some sort of injury going on. So maybe it's got like there's some sort of injury going on. Chiron can be wise. Wounds can be wise. And it is, I think the Chiron is going direct. So I like the idea of us knowing how to handle the wound. Um, Mercury is also bowing down to that Mars, which is bowing down to the Jupiter, Venus, Jupiter, Venus, Jupiter, Venus. So again, the Sun ends up in the Jupiter, Venus. Mars, by extension, does as well. Neptune is ending up in the Jupiter, Venus. Let's see, Saturn ends up in the Jupiter, Venus. Mercury, yeah, pretty much all of the planets are ending up in that Jupiter, Venus flow, including the moon. This is good. This is a good news. There's a learning opportunity. There's a learning opportunity here. I guess that's always the case, but yeah, because everything is going back to that Jupiter, Venus, this eclipse I don't think is going to be the worst. I don't think that this eclipse is going to be the worst. I think it's going to be like something that could have been excellent is now going to be okay, if that makes sense. Like, for instance, and this is a very dark thing. But I do want to invoke the eclipse darkness, the doomsday. So it's like, for instance, if we accept that we all have these bodies that don't last forever, and you arrive at the end of your life and you're like, you know what? I really tried to do a bunch of different things. I really tried to be honest. I really tried to say what I really felt and what I really thought. And then it's time for your body to sort of like transition. It's like, you know, I'm ready. That's doomsday, but with like a sense of like, I've accepted the limitations, I've accepted the boundaries that I'm experiencing, and I did what I could, and it changed over time, right? Like, but I want there to be a sense of just acceptance with the doomsday. But because this is the tail of the dragon, I also think that a tail of a dragon is not as gnarly. So if your tail has gotten slashed up, the dragon inside of you, that part of you that's just craving and just never gonna stop going for things, immortally samsara, just sort of like continuation of all these patterns, just I need this, I want that. Like, the dragon is not the most chill. This dragon has been wounded too, so maybe it's wisened up a bit. I think that since it's under the sway of this Jupiter Venus learning experience, learning about how to expand and have pleasure in a way that doesn't harm the beings around you, finding that like balanced equilibrium. The moon in Libra bows down to Venus, which is really in good condition, but like all things Mars and Venus, love and war, what's good for one is not necessarily good for the other. So this Venus is very happy, but she doesn't have an easy time relating to Libra. Because Libra is very competitive, it's very, very much serving out the judgment. It's like assessing constantly how the things are balancing out, and it's very codependent, it's very social. I don't mean codependent necessarily in a bad way. Because Venus is happy, Libra by extension is happy, but it's when Venus is in Libra, then all of a sudden that competitive masculine side of love gets to just boom, 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 like make that aesthetic golden, make that party hoppin', like delight that person with that beautiful offering. You know, it's very like demonstrative, whereas with this Venus in Pisces, it has a lot of love that wants to go almost unabashedly everywhere. And that's good, but it's maybe not as... I don't think that it is bad, I just don't know if it's aligned necessarily. So it's like the love is there, but the opportunity to serve might not be very clear. So again, for the Libra, this Libra moon that is, again, the tail, it's being, let's just imagine it like smacked. So the body's been smacked by this tail of this dragon. There's been this sort of the relationship and the fairness is just gotten a slap in the face a little bit. That's the nature of the eclipse. But like, whoa, like I do think that the dragon that you're witnessing, it's not trying to do something bad, but it is a dragon and it's kind of clumsy. So how do we recover from this slap? Whenever something is unfair, like maybe you were cheated in some way, like I don't know if you've ever been cheated or wrongly accused of something, but it really sucks. But this is what I ask you to do. Is it true? Ask yourself, is it true? Is it true? What are the facts? Come back to the truth. If somehow you did something that was not cool, okay. If you did the right thing, though, if you really think based on what you know, based on asking for advice, really just try to get to the truth. Try to focus and hone in on that. Focus and hone in on the truth, because when people attack you, they don't do so for no reason. I'm not saying that it's right. I don't want you to be harmed. I don't want people to be harmed. But there's a sense of like, moving into that truth energy is a good idea. It's a good idea. When I think of truth, I want to think Libra cares about the truth. I really do. Hopefully all the signs can find their way to that truthful expression. But particularly because Venus and Jupiter are involved, love and pleasure and beauty and pushing the limits, you might not always get that. You might not always get that. And I'm not trying to say that you need to always have that. I just, like, one of the problems in my birth chart is I have the moon and Venus conjunct. So there's a sense that like love, beauty, and pleasure, I want them always. I never don't want to have them. I honestly get a little flustered when I don't. So what does that mean? I don't end up going out very much. I don't end up engaging with the world too much, because within my safe space, I can have good smells, good foods, good tastes. It can be clean. I can be comfortable. I can like consume beautiful things. I have books from the library. You know, there's a lot of stuff here. That's Polishing the Mirror by Ram Dass. You know, I've got Politics of Love by Marianne Williamson, Neil Gaiman. Maybe I'll do some fantasy, because I am trying to write my own stuff. Like, I'm not saying that I have it perfect. I have sad days. I have problems and challenges. Like, I've got tension in the body, but even now I'm trying to like just find that state of beauty, pleasure, comfort, and just sort of resting in that. My job is to age gracefully, to try and be honest, to try and relay the truth that I'm experiencing, seeing, witnessing, integrating with the concerns of society. This Libra moon is very socially oriented and very, very interested in like expressing this communal, fair society. But that's a hard task because life may be not the most fair. All these words that we use to describe the experience are going to fall short, and because it's an eclipse and it's the moon that's at eclipse, this is up close to home. The moon is the thing that's fastest. So I would say that the part of your chart that's in Cancer, it's already, when the moon is in Libra, Cancer, the territory of the moon, what it is in control over, for me it's my friendships, my groups, my connection, and Chiron is there. So I would expect for myself, not necessarily for you guys, but that there's something about my finances, there's something about how I spend money and how my actual physical material value, even the body can be included in that to a degree, I think, because it is something that I'm kind of responsible for. Like, there's something going on there that is sort of being kind of bumped a little bit, and that bump might make it so that way connecting to friends and groups and joyful communities is challenging. So for me, like, okay, Caleb, so my habits and my rituals around stuff and being at home, and maybe my lack of resources, like I have like 10 grand, right? That's enough money to continue to make sure rent is paid. But like this week, didn't really get to work that much. So I definitely feel myself sort of like controlling. Am I dragon hoarding my money? Well, it's just I need to be able to pay rent and I need to be able to get food. So I'm trying to be diligent and responsible. I am being supported by my family, like the phone plan. I'm just trying to figure out how I can align to have my needs met and to be able to share and to give within this society, not at the expense of myself. And I know that connecting with people, like today, I might go spend $5 to be in an open mic, or maybe it's free, I don't know. But I think I want to go, and I think I want to try and put myself out there. Put myself out there. So I'm going to do that here at a little bit. It is a little bit rainy. Driving in the car, trying to make sure that I'm driving safely, leaving the comfortable nest, to go out there and to mingle with people. What should I wear? Who will be there? How should I talk to them? I need to bring business cards. Like, what do I need to let go of? What do I need to release? Even if it's uncomfortable, even if I'm getting banged up a little bit, like, because right now what I'm doing is I'm taking the chart and I'm layering it over my own chart, and I'm trying to infer like what I know about me. But as far as the masses go, in order to keep things very general, there is a nurturing, safe, cozy feeling that is going to get eclipsed. Now, it isn't impossible for other planets to get eclipsed. For instance, the sun, in its power, it regularly eclipses all of the planets. At least, so every year, every planet is going to enter the heart of the sun at least once. Mercury is like, meow, meow, meow. So it happens a lot. So I don't want... The thing about the moon getting eclipsed, it also ends up in getting eclipsed by the sun regularly. The sun is regularly just consuming it all. Like, and it's just a very powerful force. And I think that the sun, again, if I understand that the sun powers life, but what does Osho say? Like, life, death is life. Like, it's, I find that this realm is kind of harsh, and the sun to me is to blame very much for a lot of it, but also for the good stuff and the bad. Like, it's just, it is what it is. But so this moon eclipse, this isn't an extra one. This is one that would have like popped out of nowhere. It's like, wait, the moon, what? Like, it's like an extra sort of ominous, like, not a subtle normal one. That's the thing about eclipses, is it sort of has a spooky, eerie thing. Like, if you're a fan of the Avatar series, like, the moon is getting eclipsed, so this would give the firebenders more. Like, I'm not, in this case, the fiery light of the sun of Aries is what's reflecting off this moon in Libra. So there is this, the I'm doing it for myself to pioneer versus I'm doing it because this is what society expects. That's the polarity of the eclipse. So there's something going on there. There's something going on there worth considering. Are you in your individual acquisition energy going so far that you might be missing a few things? I think yes. I think that the sun is sort of like it's not knowing where to put itself. So for me, I have this energy, this vitality, this youth, but society, like, where does it need to put me? Where am I appropriate? Because the way that society works is it's all about what value can you give me. It's all about money and capitalist stuff, and I guess it's not all about that, but it seems like that's a very integral part. So if you listen to Sapiens by, I forget how to say his name, just look it up, Noah, maybe? Sapiens? I have it on digital. Oh no, I have it over here. Yuval Noah Harari. Sapiens, it's right there on the bookshelf. It doesn't matter. Sapiens, Sapiens. In that book, he talks about how, like, people won't worship the same God necessarily, but they will spend the same money, and we have faith that the money has a value, even though inherently it's not. this is the whole stuff about cryptocurrency and all of it. It's kind of just like, if we believe it has value, it has value. What I want to have value is the trees, and the fields, and the birds, and the fruit, and like coziness, and making sure that the soil is rich, and preserving species, maybe even trying to like teach them how to like behave well, so that way that, I don't know, I understand that like the violence and the death and all of that stuff is part of this realm. For my birthday, my aunt texted me like, "You're in an imperfect world," and I'm like, yep, yes, that feels more true than saying it's perfect. But I do think that we need to, while we're in these bodies, in these lives, try and make them the best that we can, even if that means a lot of napping. I could take the train to the bar, but it would take like an hour. And it's raining. I should probably drive. Driving is better this time. But yeah, I'm definitely planning on going to the bar regularly as it gets warmer, because there is a train stop. So that way I could, like, if I want to enjoy a drink, and then I don't have to pay for Ubers and stuff, because I just don't have the, I don't have it in me. And it is kind of scary to go to a bar by yourself and to try to mingle and just to like say hello to people. But I'm curious about it, trying to mingle and connect and explore what that's like. So, I don't know. I've got to spend a little, I guess, to, I hate it when my computer just shuts off. Yeah. It makes me worried. I'm like, is it broken? I actually had this computer replaced once under warranty because it was like not doing good, so they sent me a better one, thankfully. Okay, what else do I need to let you guys know about? Or do I feel inspired to share is better? Pluto. Yeah, all of it's coming back to Venus, Jupiter, mutual reception, which I like. Literally everything. Share the love, share the love, share the love. Learn to share the love. Finding the love and sharing the love. Like it's a good idea. My poor voice. I need to learn how to speak in a different way, into a different register, so that way it is less raspy. Something's beeping. Anyways. Anything else about this? The shape is generally this. So it's the full moon opposing the sun Neptune-ish, right? And then there's that sextile between Jupiter, Uranus, Venus, Saturn, right? And then Pluto is making a sextile to the sun as well as to a trine to the moon. So there's like a, Pluto is one of those, is it true or is it not? We've reached the I don't know. Because I think some people want Pluto to be a thing. Like, for instance, okay, when it comes to modern rulership and traditional, we are using a fictional framework to inspire inquiry, to inspire reflection. As above, so below, whatever. The Pluto energy, when I was a student, was, oh, it's the most distant planet. Now we know that it's not. We don't want to classify it as a planet anymore, so Neptune would be the edge. Pluto would be beyond the edge. Technically, though, it is still an object that orbits, but it's not like Charon, the planet next to it, or Ceres. There are other objects that Pluto, like by size, are just as sort of like here, but we don't incorporate them into the story. So, but that's why the energy of Pluto is so fascinating to me. So whenever I'm thinking about it, like, oh, some people were taught about it, some people were not taught about it. we don't know everything. We're still figuring it out. The universe is very large. We have a lot of tools, so we're sort of scanning the skies with these, you know, additional resources. But our species still feels very much trapped here. There are people that talk about astral projecting and aliens and all this stuff, and I'm kind of like, okay, well, those things are experienced by me in the form of like arts and storytelling. I haven't interfaced with them, or if I have, I haven't been able to tell the difference. I'm gonna worry about these problems as they become problems. Or if an alien comes down and be like, hey, can you please help us get along better and have better tools? Like, why do we have to be so negative? What if there's other conscious life that's evolving? Maybe they can come help us solve our problems. I'm down for that. And if I don't want to be so fearful and negative about the unknown, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. This Pluto mystery, Hades, right? It was associated with rulership of Scorpio by the modern rulers. And I don't want the fact that, like, I have a lot of Scorpio people in my life, and I don't think that they're insignificant, and I don't think that they're, but I do appreciate that, like, with the Mars rulership, it definitely works because of the heat of the poison and the stinger and the penetrativeness of the Scorpion, and its social association with like deep, intimate sort of sexual fluid sort of energy. Because Libra is very sexual, and Scorpio's next to it. I definitely think that, yeah, Venus and Mars places are very sexual. Aries and Taurus is sexual too. That the Venus Mars sexual energy sort of vibes are definitely pretty strong. So the pointy Mars PP kind of energy, boiling water. I definitely see the Mars, but the Pluto, the mystery, the here and not here. I'm fine allowing the stories. I don't want to, if that's what people are believing or thinking, I hope that they're seeing it as an occult system that's designed to sort of put them in reality and to inspire different ways of thinking. It's like a very generic advice. It's wisdom, it's a wisdom tradition. So that to me is what it is, because if we haven't empirically figured it out, like, then essentially we've like figured out everything that's going to happen, and I don't think that our species has done that. When I encounter people who talk about having these abilities and I look at them closely, shit still hits the fan for them, and they still complain. Like, there's obviously examples, like Ram Dass talks about his guru who could like read his thoughts, and it's just sort of like, what? Like, I haven't met someone like that, but I've met very intuitive people. I've worked with a lot of different types, so yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious. Working on my breathing better. Working on breathing better. The underworld. The mystery. Are you going to be included, or are you going to be excluded? That's all floating with Pluto. Scorpions are elusive creatures. This co-rulership thing, it just, like, because astrology is not certain, when you introduce a bunch of different modalities to try and get the answer, it can get to a point where it just gets even more muddy and even more confusing, and it's not helpful. And I think for some people, astrology, any at all, gets them to that place. But with some people, they want the depth. I went far enough into it that I found some resonance, but then I reached a point where I'm like, oh, like, there's other traditions. There are other people. There's the southern hemisphere. They don't have weather in the same way. So maybe we should use the actual position of the stars and not the seasons like I do here. But I know that we are experiencing this world, and I believe that the moon is visible to all of us. And when people try to make me doubt what I've experienced, or tell me that it's unreal or whatever, I just am sort of like, I don't know what you're talking about. Perhaps this is all some sort of dream, but I'm in it, and I'm in the first person perspective, and I believe you are too, and we can connect, and I am available. Love, light, and the snakes bite.